the recording will also be coming out
nice
for that.
setup.
Yes, it's out. It's
That
out.
was a nice
The
setup. It's okay.
The recording is out.
Yeah.
Check it out or find it on the Kenyan Wall Street's Twitter handle.
Yeah.
Page. Yeah, we might put it on our space as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So in that spirit of personal finance, remember that this coming Thursday, that is the 17th of February, we will be joining Ariel Africa together with Riara University, and we'll be having a conversation about your relationship with money. So come join us as we discuss, the various aspects of personal finance, where to invest your money, positive, good financial habits. You can join us virtually through the Riara University YouTube channel, starting from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. 17th of February is the day. Don't miss.
Hey, that sounded like an announcement.
Man.
That can be an audio, but I don't know why.
We did it last time.
I don't know why
It was so good.
it made me feel like, those church announcements. This Saturday, we are going to have a discussion on relationship with money.
Anyway,
But anyway,
do
it
you
was
have another highlight, or are we going
yeah,
to the
my main highlight, this was just FYI on things that we've been up to. But my main highlight was on telecommunications and the court order that was recently issued in South Africa.
Gauteng.
In Gauteng. I don't know if that's pronounced. The guy who invented Please Call Me will be getting 5% of the total voice revenue generated by the product in the past 20 years. So that is, it will be getting 5% of all revenue since 2002.
It's actually totaling to 1.3.
Wait, 202. When did Safaricom get into
20 years? The past 20 years. Just do 2022
20
minus 20.
Do you know what?
Simple math. Amukufunzi yako personal finance.
Ouch. Violence Pro Max. It's actually the money is actually totaling to $1.3 million.
Only.
No, that's kidogo.
Wait, is it 1.3 million or
billion? Yeah.
1.3 million.
Oh, it's billion. It's $1.3 billion because it's coming to around 100 plus billion Kenya shillings.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that in 2019, Nkosana was offered around 300 million Kenya shillings.
Sorry, who?
Nkosana.
Okay. The same guy.
The gentleman.
Yeah,
yes. It was offered around 360 something million by Vodacom. For that after he went to court. But then he disagreed with that, and now the court has said that Vodafone has to make a higher bid, in connection with the 5% that Dan has mentioned.
Yeah, so it's around 1.4 billion.
Ooh. But this tells me one thing, that, innovation pays. But then at the end of the day, we have to be careful with how we handle innovation, particularly with intellectual property.
But, okay, interestingly, he'll be given 1.4 B, but he's actually demanding for 75 billion.
Dollars.
Shillings. $75 billion, my guy. Is demanding for 75 billion shillings. Around 10 billion.
No. Dan, he's being given 1.3 billion.
Shillings.
Dollars.
Shillings.
It's dollars.
Shillings, my guy. It's 188 million rand.
Okay.
I have a laptop.
I have a brain.
Trust me. Your source is trust me, bro.
No.
My source is
okay. I'll find.
Anyway,
I'll find it.
For him, he's demanding for 10 billion.
I got
rand.
the figures from Standard Media.
10 billion rand.
Yeah.
That is what he's demanding.
Rand.
10 billion rand. Yeah, which is 75 billion shillings. Yeah. But he's likely to get 1.4 billion shillings, which is quite good. But you were talking about intellectual property. Mm-hmm. The question is, this guy at the time
was he an employee or a contractor?
Apparently, I'm yet to confirm this, but what I've heard was he was an intern at the time at Vodacom. So that brings the question of, usually when you're an employee, all intellectual property done while under employment belongs to the company.
The employer.
Yeah.
But then you have to understand that, the labor laws in South Africa are quite different from here in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
So
we could be, we shouldn't make direct assumptions.
We're not making any.
Yeah.
We are not saying that because he did that, then the guy who invented M-Pesa should do the same.
Do you know about the specifications of the deal for the M-Pesa guy?
No.
We don't know.
No.
Yeah.
But do you know for this guy, for Nkosana?
I don't know, but the fact that he was an intern is quite interesting when he came up with this. And
Yeah, so because Makate left Vodacom in 2004.
Makate?
Yeah, that's his name. Nkosana Makate.
Okay.
Alikosana na Vodafone. Anyway, he left Vodafone.
Nkosana Mkate.
Yeah, he left Vodacom in 2004. Hadi Dagia, producer Mazee ameji, he smacked himself in the face. Yeah, so I think that's the argument on whether as an employee you should get a portion of your invention or the things that you've contributed in creating. Anyway, yeah, so that was my highlight of the week.
I would like to get more information about that, just to understand on what basis did Nkosana think that he's entitled to that.
yeah, and I would like to make an assumption that it probably has to do with the labor laws of South Africa.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so moving on, let's talk about central bank digital currencies.
Yes.
Central bank digital currencies are central bank digital currencies. It's something that is being of great interest.
Yes.
Lately?
Yeah, the past couple of years, I could say.
Yeah.
And this week, the central bank released a report on the central bank digital currency, basically indicating that it's starting to look into issuing out central bank digital currency, or rather, it's studying the central bank digital currency.
Yeah.
So it released a discussion paper on the central bank digital currency, where basically they were acknowledging the advent of central bank digital currency, with other governments and some currencies. Some countries already having issued digital currencies. In October of last year, Nigeria was the first African country to issue digital currency, the e-Naira. But we've also had, I think, Bahamas already issued.
Yeah, Bahamas is actually the first country globally to do that.
The Caribbean countries are actually, because there's Bahamas and I'm forgetting the second country, but also Jamaica had a piloted the digital currency last year, and they were indicating that this year they are going to now fully launch it.
Okay.
The big boy in the East has, of course, done it.
Who?
China.
Yeah, but they've still not fully. It's still on pilot phase.
Yeah.
But the thing about China is, okay, there are actually quite many discussions which are interesting about the digital currency space, on how, for instance, people fear that China would be using the digital currency to enhance their authoritarian rule and authoritarian influence over its citizen, and using the digital currency actually as a mean. This week, our stock of the week is...
Are you fighting?
Why?
That was a lot of force.
That was a lot of energy.
A lot of energy.
Our stock of the week this week is UNGA Group.
Yeah.
UNGA Group is... Yeah, it's a company that has been in the market for years and years.
Yeah, 1909.
Yeah, over 100 years old.
Over 100 years old.
Yeah. Started in Nakuru, actually. Njoro. It was a farm owned by Lord Delamere. The guy had a lot of shamba.
Man.
But yeah. So started back in the day and has grown since then. So a little bit about UNGA Group. UNGA Group. So there's UNGA Holdings Limited, is a leading flour, meal and animal feed production company. It has been in operation for over 100 years, as we've said.
Yeah.
UNGA operates as a strategic alliance between UNGA Group and Seaboard Corporation.
Yeah.
And also when you look at UNGA Holdings shareholding, it is owned by UNGA Group 65% and then Seaboard
Yeah,
have
because
35%.
if you actually look at the structure, you find that UNGA Group PLC, and then UNGA Group PLC owns UNGA Investments.
Yes.
Then UNGA Investments owns UNGA Holdings. Then now from UNGA Holdings is where you have the three
you have
subsidiaries.
UNGA Limited.
UNGA Limited, which
feeds.
is majorly focused on human food, where now you can find the famous Jogo, Sembe,
Yeah.
Hostess, and the EXE
X, bro.
Yes.
X.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that
UNGA,
one.
so UNGA X Limited, they are focused in milling of wheat. So maize and millet into flour products for human consumption.
Yeah.
And then it's now they consolidated their manufacturing and their milling plants in Eldoret.
Yeah.
Except for Hostess,
Yeah.
which is their premium brand, which they still do in Nairobi. And then also maize and wheat mills. I guess guys have seen Familia. Famila, or not
Yeah,
Familia.
the one for
Famila,
porridge.
yeah, porridge.
It isn't familiar to you.
And you guys and shade today. Eh? So Dan, if you actually just to point something out on Famila, Famila is actually
Is it a premium brand?
a premium brand.
Yeah.
Because they even have flavors. You can get a banana flavor and
Which is why it is not familiar to some of us.
So I mean, and then also just before we go to the UNGA farm care, also in the UNGA Limited, which is for human food, I think this is something that back a couple of years ago, I really liked about UNGA Group, the diversification. So you find that the Amana brand, where you can find rice, they have Basmati and Pishori rice under the Amana brand.
What's usually the difference between Basmati and Pishori?
Don't ask me, I don't know. But I know that Pishori comes from where? I think Basmati comes from
India.
Asia, Pakistan,
Sounds
and all that
Indian.
place.
Yeah.
But I think
That's a guess.
primarily,
Yeah.
this is my limited knowledge.
Yeah.
I think Basmati is good for biryani, and Pishori is just for
Normal rice.
Yes.
Okay.
So under the Amana brand, sorry, someone is trying to. So under the Amana brand, still you have my famous and favorite. You have Njahe. You have.
I hear those things are
beans.
supposed to be sold in hardwares. Anyway, so
Oh my guys. The debate about Njahe will not end. You're trying to violate Njahe. So Njahe is under the Amana brand. You also have beans, different
Green
types
grams,
of beans. You also have
different types of beans.
green
I've had
grams.
names. Yeah.
Ndengu is also there. So they've really diversified their portfolio, their product portfolio under the UNGA Limited brand.
Yeah. It's
And that
not,
was very recent, right?
Yeah, I think
In
it
their
dates back
over
to-
100 years of business, they
Yeah.
only did that, like, let's say in the
last 10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's UNGA Limited for human production. And then there is
Human food production.
human food.
Dan, is that your own Dan's case?
Yeah, it's on mine.
Then there's UNGA Farm Care, which manufactures animal nutrition products and distributes animal health products.
Yeah.
So there's Nairobi Feeds, which focuses on mash and pellet lines, plus soya cake and fish feeds plants. There's Nakuru Feeds, which also does mash and pellet lines. Nakuru Mineral, which does premix, powdered mineral, and mineral block plants.
If for people who grew up in Rift Valley, you're very familiar with the Fugo brand. For chicken mash, dairy meal, also pig meal, fish meal as well.
Yeah.
And of course, they have their famous meal for dogs. K9, the K9 brand, doing really well, really, really premium.
I know Keegan and I know T9.
Yeah, I know T9. So it's
Yes. For listeners,
K9.
that's a whole different brand.
it's not far from K9. So those are some of their portfolio products under the UNGA Farm Care now, which deals specifically with products for animal consumption.
Yes. Yeah, and then they have UNGA Millers Uganda Limited.
Yeah.
Which they discontinued operations.
Yeah.
So the assets are available for sale. Although now they've since got into a JV agreement recently. So that was announced. Plans have been there since last year.
Yeah.
But the agreement was sealed this year.
Yeah, early this month.
There
was a press release on, I think, 1st, if not 2nd of February.
Yes. Where they're forming 2 JVs in partnership with a Dutch multinational. It's called Nutreco.
Yeah.
Nutreco
It's not
International.
Nutrico?
Nah, we don't know. Did you
Sorry,
did you study in the
just
Netherlands?
Hey guys, chill wena. Okay, it's
Yeah.
Nutreco, it's Nutrico for whoever likes it. So
Yeah.
they're going to form it under a brand called Tunga.
Tunga,
I think they've just added T in front of Unga.
Yeah, okay, that's smart.
I had not seen that.
No, that's not the reason.
Yeah, not-
The reason is it's derived of the Kiswahili word tunga.
Tunga, to
yeah,
compose.
that is the but yeah, Keegan smart.
Into creativity.
So they're going to have it's going to be separate. So they'll have a JV, with Nutreco, particularly now in Kenya, Tunga Kenya, and then of course Tunga Uganda. Now, as Dan was just saying, on the mill, on the UNGA Miller, which is the third subsidiary now. So the assets have been lying idle in Uganda, and now one thing that I'm really happy about and positive about is now the JV with Nutreco, because Nutreco in Uganda, they're going to utilize now the miller there to produce,
assets.
fish meals and all that. And you know what, Dan? So before we go into, I mentioned something about what that announcement of the JV did to the market. I have a question for you guys. I have a trivia. This is actually a trivia, and from today I'll be next from episode 22. You'll find a small section about trivia that I'll be posing to these guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, UNGA Group PLC listed in the Nairobi Securities Exchange 1 year before the first country to ever get independence in Africa got independence. Which year was that?
1959.
Easter?
1959.
Oh my God. The first country to ever get independence in Africa.
Give me a chance to guess.
Which country was that first?
No. don't.
Ghana.
Yes, Ghana.
1960.
Which year? 1957.
57.
Yes.
Kwame
UNGA Group
Nkrumah, my
listed
friend.
in-
Naenda kurudisha school fees ya GHC.
So UNGA Group listed 1 year before. So 1956.
I knew it was Ghana.
Mko nje?
Mimi nilikuwa najua ni Ghana was the first country.
Okay, so if just to, when the JV was announced, the market actually accepted this very well, because the price was at 27 Kenya shillings, the share price at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. On now, if you on when the information came in and simmered now into the market on third and all that.
Simmered. Ugali.
Oh my God! It went to this guy's hungry.
Dagi tunaweza mzimia mic. Think your contributions have been. We thank you for your contributions.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's been real.
Guys, so before that information came out, the announcement on the JV with Nutrico, the share price was at 27. When that information came in, the share price went to 36 Kenya shillings. On 11th Friday, February 2022, it closed at 33. So it's been coming down. So that information, for people who had that information prior to, I hope CMA doesn't find you, but I know you made some good money somewhere. So that information was
What's
accepted
CMA
positively into the market. And I'm also looking at the outlook now when, the results come out. I know their NDR results normally come in at around June, half year, full year. So now looking at that, the assets have been lying idle in Uganda, for the UNGA millers. Now, with Nutrico coming in, now those assets will be put to work. Okay? So out production will be there, sales will be there, revenue will be coming in. So that will definitely have a positive impact on their books. And also with the JV in Kenya now, where we'll have, the Kenyan side upgrading, increasing their production and, consequently revenues increasing. So this JV is definitely going to have a positive impact in their books when we see their results coming in. So this, I don't know, it's good time to buy, but we'll get there.
Anyway, and even I think if you're to look at the share price movement between January and now, ever since the announcement,
they announced in December.
No, like the former, like saying that now
their end is in June.
Their end is June. Even like in the annual reports, like already there were discussions to get into
The JV.
the JV with Nutreco, and they've been working with Nutreco even before, because Nutreco has been a supplier of theirs for a long.
And we
for a long
discussed
time.
that in I remember when their half year reports results came
Were
out.
released,
We discussed that,
yeah.
and there were prospects about a JV.
Yes. So now that it was formally announced in
Profits,
Feb, even their share price has been increasing until on Thursday, the 10th. Then Friday it dipped a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that was just the market reaction to the news that there's going to be a JV. It had a positive influence or effect on their share price. So now going more into the business.
So that's the news. So when the actual thing happens,
Yeah, definitely that's going to be reflected in the year end, June.
I think the JV now come also in handy to replace the bakery, Antsville Bakery.
Yeah, they sold that business in October last year.
Yes, to Build Cold. Is it Big Cold?
Yeah,
Big Cold. Which I don't know how, because UNGA Group used to have a bakery back in the 90s.
Elliott's. Yeah, the
which,
famous Elliott's bread.
which they sold.
Yeah.
They sold in 1994. Yeah, I think they bought the business in 61, then sold it in 94.
Yeah, and then now again, like another maybe 14 years later. Oh, is it 24 years later?
Yeah.
94 to 2014, no, 20 years. 20 years later, 2014 bought Ennsville.
Yeah, because they bought Ennsville 7 years ago.
Yeah. And then now sold it again in 2021.
But then you see the way Ennsville was positioned in the market, it was a very premium brand. Okay, so I think they were having, when you're a group and you have all these other operations, there are risks of inefficiencies.
Yeah.
And then I think it was a good idea for them to sell it. Honestly, from an investor point of view, I wasn't seeing the prospects of that side of the business growing, because Big Gold, when they bought it, and actually saw a conversation of one of the senior managers there, for them, their model that they want to work with this is to actually go into spaces like supermarkets and restaurants. So, for example, right now, Ennsville is the guys who bake, and sell for Chandarana Food Plus, the supermarket chain. So they are looking to go into such kind of models and also partner with restaurants. So let's say like Art Cafe, they'd be doing, the pastries for Art Cafe and everything. So they are looking to go into that model because they realized the premium market for bread is very, very thin.
Yeah,
but do you think they got into diversification, very aggressive diversification in the last 10 years? Can they? Why not diversify in that one line of business of baking? So, for example, you've realized there's the whole grain bread, loaf of bread which you sell at 150 bob. That one now you have to go to the client, to the customer for that market. That is by working with. You go to where they are. You go to CJ's. You go to Art Cafe, and work with them and to bake those kind of products, premium products. Then there's the normal loaf of bread which goes for 50 bob, and you can sell it anywhere literally.
Yeah, but the main challenge that they face with that is, especially when supermarkets started making their own bread, because you move to almost every supermarket has like a bakery space now. They do their own bread. So it became a very competitive space to be in. Because even as customers, you go in, and this is what happened. You go in, and because you can see the bakery there, you get the feeling that the bread from the bakery is fresher. So you tend to go and buy that.
It's fresher. Fresher. It's not, our viewers. It's not the milk.
Oh yeah, like you feel like this bread is just off the oven. It's still. There's some. I remember even task is like you can go. You could be able to go and get it, like eat bado moto wako slice here and go with it home. So that also contributes now to the competition that.
No, but you see, business is about selling. Business is about, again, by selling I mean it's up to UNGA Group, to go and talk to these retail chains and tell them that, you know what, if you allow us to do this, you're gonna get more margins.
But do you know what?
Because
No,
but the retail-
we,
you know
have, we are everywhere in
the
the,
retail
in the
chains-
entire value chain. We are there.
But
we
you know-
produce this, the flour mills, the everything.
True, and
so
and that's the
we are
retail chains were giving them space for the bread.
But
there's
you know,
space for
moving-
UNGA X, there's space for everything. It's just that in the bakery and the and bread space,
Yeah.
the competition was just too much for it to make.
And you know,
business sense
moving
at that
into
point.
this model of this strategy of moving into partnering with the restaurants and the likes is actually strategy for Big Gold. This strategy hasn't come from UNGA. So it's when they sold the business to Big Gold, and now Big Gold was saying yes. So one of the things we are looking to do is partner with restaurants and the likes.
Yeah, so that.
But then if you also look at Chandarana has positioned themselves in premium places.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the Chandarana, I think the Chandarana market, it's because.
So then why did it die?
Why did what down?
The bakery thing that they did.
We just explained.
At the end of the day,
and
that's
what I
just
was
one
saying,
revenue stream, you know.
It's one, and it's not big. And and also Chandarana, because Chandarana haven't taken a very aggressive approach in expansion. It's more organic.
Like
it's more,
Quickmart,
yeah, it's more organic. It's more.
Do you think they
considered.
need PE?
No, I think they're
They don't
happy.
want to-
I
they
think
don't
they're
want
happy
to
with what they're
expand.
doing,
They're
and in
okay.
as much as it's a premium, in as much as it's a premium brand, or they focus on
Premium
their market share is not that big compared to Quickmart, compared to Naivas.
Yeah.
So that's the big but at the end of the day, I feel like, especially for Ensville, their biggest concern was especially when supermarkets started baking their own bread. That's what made it really hard for them, and also them being a premium brand again is
Because
is another.
you remember there was a time.
And then the target market of premium pastries, ideally someone who would buy
it's
premium.
very thin.
This is also a target that is becoming more health conscious. It's becoming more.
And we said that during
more careful
H1
about
results
what
for
it is
UNGA.
that they eat.
Yeah.
So it's cutting
Bread
down.
is moving
cutting
outside
down.
of the table.
It's even now that you're talking about bread, it's even slicing further the market, the premium market.
Oh my God. but Dan has a really fair point, and
that makes sense.
I think you can catch that discussion. Must be in episode 6 or 7, where UNGA Group had released the H1 results, and we talked about people being very concerned about what they take in, and I remember we mentioned about people opting to take tea with ndoma and guashe, and leaving bread aside. But then just talking about JVs, this wouldn't be the first time that UNGA is walking into a JV. So in 1998, UNGA Group, together with a company called Nampak from South Africa, they did a JV to set up Bullpack. So Bullpack has been a packaging company. So they have been making, the packagings for Hostess, for Amana. So that was a time that UNGA Group actually looks like they owned the whole value chain because they owned all that. Now in 2013, they sold the business to Nampak. Their stake that they had, I think they had the majority stake, they sold to Nampak and exited that business. So this would not be a first time that they're going into JVs.
They're still working
They've
with
gone
Nampak
into
for
JVs before.
packaging,
Yes,
right?
they're still working with them as suppliers. So I think...
But I think the difference now is that this JV is in their core business.
Absolutely.
It's something that they do know, they've done for years. So that's the difference between going into a JV into making food feeds where they've experienced compared to getting to a JV, with in packaging.
But I don't know, guys. But for me, I don't know about what inspired that decision of selling Bullpack. I don't know about the profitability of it and all that, because it was a private entity. Now, I think UNGA Group should have retained that. Do you guys know how sweet it is to own the whole value chain?
For UNGA Group, that would mean starting from the farmers of the whole thing. So I don't think it makes such a big difference.
Okay.
Anyway, so there's another thing that I think UNGA Group did in the last financial year. Basically, they implemented an e-commerce platform dubbed Bidhaa Mlangoni. And this basically was to help them help their customers order their products directly from the factory. So they say that the system is live, or at the time, as per the financial report, annual report, They say that the system is live in Nairobi metropolitan area and Eldoret. They say they realize good traction in Nairobi and at marketing the solution. And for me, I thought, okay, maybe this. Sometimes I think moving into e-commerce as a distribution strategy, it's usually good sometimes. But my main concern is, for me as a customer who consumes the product from UNGA Group, I usually buy them together with other stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd go to a supermarket and, as you're buying your sugar, you ongeza your
Mafuta.
your unga, you ongeza what.
And njahi.
Yeah. Yeah, as you move along.
Unasema supermarket, si hardware. No, si vitu.
Anyway, so for me, my bigger issue with bidhaa mlangoni or an e-commerce platform that only sells unga products, I would not be inclined to go buy a product from there. Because for me, I don't want to be going now. If I want unga, I'll just go to X wenyewe peke yake. If I want this other thing, I now go to another supplier.
Yeah.
I prefer having a place that is all aggregated, and get everything there. But yeah, they've also tried to work with Glovo. I think they mentioned Glovo, Jumia Foods, and this other e-commerce platforms. But again, for me, I feel like as a distribution plan, UNGA products go best with, because they're home care, they're home products, especially for the home
kitchen
supplies.
Yeah.
It goes best as when you work better with, I feel, the usual
Retailers,
supermarket or the retail distribution channels.
Dan makes a really fair point about that, and it's he has addressed the practicality of that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand what inspired this decision by UNGA Group to go into this, and I'm probably thinking that they were looking for more revenues in this sense. In the normal sense, if I have a shop in Eldamaravine, I can't buy from UNGA Group directly a bale of Jogo to sell. It comes through a distributor, and they don't sell to the distributor at the retail price.
Yeah.
Of course, they have to give
The margin.
discounts, and margins so that the distributor also makes something. But then if they sell through this e-commerce platform, they can be able to sell at the same price that it's retailing at, or at least slightly lower. So they'd make more than selling to the distributor. So I'd understand what they're trying to do there. But then my real concern would actually be in that whole ecosystem of e-commerce. I would be afraid if they are doing it on their own. And on their own, I'm meaning that, so the order has come online. In the logistics space, that they have bought borders and they have riders and they give them to deliver there. I don't think that would be a good idea. I'm not sure how they do it, but I really hope that they've partnered with a logistics player, probably like Jumia. Because the logistics space, I have been in that space for quite a while. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not.
It's really not easy. And when it's not your core business, just do another JV.
So, you see,
I think
I hope they are doing a JV.
What came to my mind when you talked about that is logistics and distributorship is a totally different business.
It is.
With very many moving parts and all.
Yeah.
So if you don't have to just focus on producing this thing, but also distributing it, come on, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so if, again, I don't know, before we started the recording, we were talking about Safaricom having, Coca-Cola looking at buying or having bought.
When they bought Almasi.
Yeah. So they want to own the distributorship. I don't know why that is, but where I say it's better to focus on your core business.
Yeah.
So that you make sure that your good is not just in the common marketplace, but
a good example is EABL.
Because
they use partners, Kina Rwathia to distribute, because Kina Rispa can't make alcohol and then
start hiring trucks.
That's a whole other deal.
Yeah. So,
but how does that compare to Coca-Cola? Why do you think Coca-Cola is doing that?
Coke is Coke, Baba.
Yeah,
business is business. It's the same business.
That's a whole other discussion.
That's a good one.
The day that Centum comes in as stock of the week,
Okay.
It
We'll discuss
will
that.
be
Okay,
discussed.
good.
So in addition to Bidhaa Mlangoni, they've also been engaging, as I mentioned, with they call it last mile distribution partners.
Yeah.
They have one.
So Jumia,
Mac
Glovo, Twiga Foods, and then the supermarket online shopping
late,
platforms,
bruh. You're
which
late.
that's what they've done. So I think that's the better strategy. But I think it work for their human products.
Yeah.
That's the better strategy. Maybe Bidhaa Mlangoni would work for the animal products, because if you're keeping
Dogs, cats.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can get the specific
Yeah,
feed from there. And for their, I think, out of their revenues, their customers, Kenchik, for instance, accounts for 11% of
No,
total.
Kenchik is big. They supply KFC.
Yeah. Yeah. So, interesting thing when we look at their breakdown of their revenue breakdown.
Yeah.
So, their main, I can say, key revenue lines,
Yeah.
they do have human nutrition, they have animal nutrition,
Yeah.
and they have animal health products. Those are the main three, of course. There's the discontinued bakery, which was discontinued, so we will not factor it in now. So if you were to look over the, let's say, between 2016 and 2021, which was more or less 5 years.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, back in 2016, human nutrition accounted for over 50% of their total sales. So in 2016, they had revenues of 18B, and 10 billion was from human nutrition. Animal nutrition was 8 billion. Then animal health products were 90 million. So it's animal health products are like the baby. The two main to focus are human nutrition and animal nutrition. So the thing is, over the years, animal nutrition has been increasing, whereas human nutrition has been decreasing.
In proportion or in value?
In value.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can see in 2016, human nutrition was at 10 billion, animal was at 8.4 billion. 2017, it was still 10 billion 8. 2018, 10 billion for human, animal nutrition 9.
So there's also been a
It's
plateau
not
there.
value.
And then it's by, what's that?
It's by proportion, because it doesn't mean that, it just means that the animal ones, animal produce, or the feeds.
To go 2018. See what tufike 2021.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, you guys today, bwana. What is wrong?
Interpolating with incomplete data.
Okay, then carry on.
So 2019, human nutrition now went down to 8 billion.
Okay.
Animal nutrition overtook it for the first, I don't know whether it's for the first time, in this sample period. Overtook it to 9.3 billion. And then 2020, similar proportion. 2021, human nutrition went down further to 6 billion, 6.9. Animal nutrition is now at 11.
Okay.
So overall, the
It's by
2021
value.
total revenue is 17.8 B compared to. So you see, it looks like animal nutrition is now what is becoming.
Yeah, and
The
I
dollar.
think
I think
I
that is-
know why. And first of all, Dan, you had Easter in the first half.
Very well.
Okay, coming
Very
back
well.
to the discussion. If FMCG in nature, there is cutthroat competition.
Yeah.
No doubt
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
If you look at the human food part, I think the reduction is attributed to competition.
Yes.
And I'm looking at that space, how it's looking like the flour, both maize and wheat. And I'm looking at how the likes of Pembe, the likes of Ajab, the likes of Jamii Millers,
Yes.
how they've been coming into that space, and really pushing.
And just to speak to that, the other day, okay, not the other day, it was like late last year.
Yeah.
Still the other day.
Yeah, I bought Jogo unga in the house, and then my mama Fua came, and so Jogo's like, Kalia, unanunua Jogo? What? She's Luya, so I have to take her word for it. I was like, "Ai, kwa nini?"
Oh my
It's like,
God.
"Ai, Jogo siku hizi sijui amefanyia nini."
Eh.
Bado kuna venye wetu kama unataka kununua nunua Ajab ama Pembe. It's better. And I was like, this, okay, to Unga guys, this is consumer feedback. I don't
Yes,
know
it
what's
is.
happening.
It is.
So yeah, I just remembered. I was like, oh, okay, I hadn't thought of it, because for me, all along it was been like Jogo is the is the better brand to have. And
so you look down at that space, the way it's very competitive. There are so many other players in that if you try and mess a bit, alternatives are so many.
Yeah.
And if you go to a supermarket, zinashindania 1 bob, 2
The
bob,
price difference
3 bob.
isn't-
Yes.
So and there are so many players who are actually, like, if you look at right now, I know flour, especially maize, the prices have gone up. But if we go back a couple of months, you'd find that Jogo would probably trade at 110, and then you have so many of the other guys at around 98, 96, 97.
And guys will still go for
So
Jogo.
it's very, very competitive. And you know, looking at the mass market, the mass market, actually, when they go to supermarkets to buy, their focus is on price.
yeah.
If yours is just 5 shillings expensive than this other one, I'm going to buy this other one.
Yeah.
Just. No.
FMCG,
If you say-
cutthroat competition.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the animal feeds, Fugo is still the dominant player there, because at the end of the day,
Not as many
there are not so
players.
many players there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was looking at UNGA Group numbers over the years, and trying to look at their margins. So their gross profit margin, for instance, it's been fluctuating, comes down, up, but it's been playing between 13%. It had a peak of 17% gross profit margin in 2018, then came down as at 2020. It was at around 11%.
Yeah.
2021, thereabout. Similar, then the operating profit margin is even lower, between 5% again. 2018 peaked at 6%, and then 2020 2%. So I looked at 2018 and I was wondering, okay, what happened in 2018?
In fact, I wanted to ask you that
Because that's
because
why-
we've been looking at graphs, and if you look at 2017, there is a significant dip,
and then
in the profits, and I wanted to understand,
It's actually the highest.
was
in
it
Spain.
because of elections? Was it because of, what was the issue?
so
Or was it because of the 90 bob cap on flour in
Exactly.
2017?
Exactly.
Jubilee campaign.
yes. So what happened? There was the maize subsidy program where they capped it, and I think the government was now paying millers the
difference.
The diff-
difference.
And
Yes.
that actually came in 2021. That money.
That money came in.
2021.
Yes. So what happened to UNGA Group at that time was, because that's when now the brand Jogo like peaked, or it was seen to be the leading brand, because at flour prices at the same price, everyone went.
So
for
people now
Jogo.
start considering quality, not
Yes.
price.
So guys went for Jogo, and because the government was sorting the bill,
Yeah.
it was they were good.
Yeah.
So that year the operating profit went up by 246.
But then the revenues were slashed.
The revenue top line, no, revenues still remained quite the same, but the operating profit for some reason jumped up 246%.
But then it was capped at, okay, help me understand. It was capped
That's because
at
the
90.
prices of the maize were capped.
It was
The-
capped at
the
90,
cost of
Dan.
sales.
Okay? Let's say if it wasn't capped, they would have probably be selling at 105 for 2 kilos.
Yeah.
Now it's at 90 bob. That, of course, affects their revenue.
No, but
We are looking at the
whole
operating
point,
profit,
it was a
and
government
therefore-
subsidy.
Yes.
So the government
Even the cost of sales
pays
goes up as well.
you as a supplier the balance.
Okay.
So
Then the money
essentially,
still comes
your,
in.
your your money it should have been at the same price, but the government has told you no, you cannot sell more than
90.
90 bob, and then
We're
the
going to
government
give you
will
the
come
15
in,
bob.
will
Fair
pay
enough.
you the difference.
But that money didn't come in time.
And
How much was
actually,
it, by the way?
it was
How
a
many
whole
billions
scandal.
was it?
What?
How many billions was it that it was that they received last year?
I don't think it got to billions.
No, it didn't get to billions. The outstanding
Really?
receivable that they received from the government.
Uh,
I don't remember it offhand, but we can
I
we'll
think
get to
it-
it.
Yeah, we mentioned it in the H1 results.
I remember.
Yeah. So that's what happened in 2019, and then since then, when things went back to normal, now I think the distribution guys went back to the cheaper alternatives that are not almost quality wise, almost the same, but and that's now what's been happening to the human production line.
Yeah.
And the other challenge that also they are facing, or they faced, was when they aggregated all manufacturing in Eldoret. While they had the capacity now to produce more, demand actually reduced for them. So this is something where, for me, as I observe UNGA Group, I'm like, where are they going to get? How are they going to regenerate demand for their products?
I haven't seen them aggressively marketing like their competitors.
Yes, and that's the other so
because Ajab hasn't been joking when
I
it
think
comes to
they're
billboards.
comfortable.
yeah.
I think they're
So this is
comfortable.
another thing. So I was reading an interview with the new managing director.
JMC.
Joseph Malal Choge, who came to. He started on 1st December, 2021. So last year. So he's about 2 months old. The outgoing MD, Nick Hutchinson.
He's been there from 2000.
Was leaving end of 31st December, but he will stay on at an advisory capacity, probably to guide Mr. Choge as he.
But as long as
business.
Patrick Obath is on the board.
Anyway, so
they're losing market. Sorry.
Anyway, so I was reading an interview that Mr. Joseph, the new MD, was saying. So for him, he said that right now what he wants to do is to bring back that nostalgia of UNGA products, the nostalgia of X, because I think there's a portion of time where you knew Chapo.
Chapo.
If it's Chapo, man.
If you think
UNGA,
Chapo, you see that blue bag.
that blue. So he wants to tap into that nostalgia because he says the brand that they do have at UNGA Group is like, it's a big brand, and that should count for something.
And if you look at JMC, the way his leadership style, he's very big on marketing. Because if you look at the previous place where he was at Peptang, you would see Peptang, especially when it comes to even influencer marketing, they were very much in the space when it comes to marketing. So I actually expect the same thing in when it comes to UNGA Group. And actually, one of the things that's giving me a positive outlook in as far as UNGA Group is concerned is actually the man at the top.
Exactly.
JMC.
Same.
For me, he's one of the assets in the
If
company.
I'm to go by the financials, I'll give a very different outlook as opposed to if I look at JMC being at the helm of that.
I think
because again, like once you look at the two main business lines, revenue lines, sorry, the other one is doing fairly well. The animal brand, animal feeds, is doing fairly well. What's not doing as good as well as it should is the human one. And there's what you say, they have the brand. It's just to revive the memories and is that what you use for memories? Rekindle memories. For to get back to where they were. So if the company, if the person at the steering wheel of this company shares that vision, then definitely.
I think that's and he seems very charismatic leader. If you're to look at how he exited Peptang, like guys were really happy.
There was a whole ceremony.
Guys were happy to see him, and he seems to be very keen on a human touch with his people and his teams. When you say about leadership and marketing, like something he mentioned in the interviews, he was saying he's very keen also on like young talent and having them in leadership positions. And he mentioned something like TikTok. He said, of course, if you are having old guys around you the entire time, like, you won't be quick enough to adapt to, say, something like TikTok, which is a big, when used correctly, could be a massive marketing tool.
I mean, I'm encouraged to hear that
for musicians.
I mean, I'm happy to hear that the CEO is actually in touch with the ground, you know, of when it comes to marketing, to even things like TikTok. If you look at big corporates in Kenya, okay, I don't want to mention names or make assumptions, but would TikTok be anywhere close in their considerations? I bet not.
So that's the thing.
So guys, from this discussion,
they have no dividends, by the way.
Oh, Mr. Dividends, update us.
They haven't. Okay, their dividend has been pretty consistent.
Really?
Hear me out.
Consistently decreasing. Is that
Not
why you're
consistently decreasing. Because between 2011 and 2014, they were doing 0.75 shillings per share. And then between 2015 and 2018, I think they decided to take it up to 1 shilling a share. 2019 brought it down to 0.5 shillings per share.
Yeah.
Then 2020, I think because of COVID and
Yeah.
everything, no dividend issued, as well as 2021, no dividend issued. But then you can see they've also, at least that funds, they've used it into reinvesting into their plants. And now with this JV that they're going into with Nutrico, you can see where the capital is going, and there's potential for it paying off.
Coming back,
I think I'm happy with the JV, especially because it is focusing on animal feed and animal products that are growing. Of course, they can always do more. From the dividend.
Okay, let's leave the dividend story, because I know you'll never be satisfied. Dan, before we give our recommendations, we can't finish these conversations without talking about what happened in 2018.
Oh yes, yeah.
When the American company
Seaboard Corporation.
Seaboard Corporation.
Who they still
Seaboard
work
is actually listed in the New York
NYC, yeah.
Securities
and
Exchange.
they do management. They have a management contract with them, because
Yes.
With UNGA Group.
because even part of the outgoing MD's compensation used to come from Seaboard.
Yeah.
And
You said
then-
part of.
Yeah, part of the
And he
compensation.
came in at the time when
He was actually
when-
seconded
yeah.
from Seaboard
from Seaboard.
to
UNGA.
UNGA Group. Yeah.
Now, I mean, in 2018, we had so right now the American company has 35%, as Dan said,
Yeah, of UNGA Holdings.
of UNGA Holdings, which is owned by UNGA Investment,
Yeah,
which is owned
owned
by
by
UNGA Group PLC. Now, in 2018, they wanted to buy out the small shareholders and own up to 75%
Yeah.
Yes.
of the company.
And
Yeah.
then,
And so
in
delist it.
addition, and then delist it.
And then delist it.
Yeah.
Now they wanted to buy it at the price then was at around 27 Kenya shillings, the share price.
Yeah.
They wanted to buy it at 40 Kenya shillings, but then an independent, I won't mention the name,
Agents of chaos.
an independent. You know I'm their customer. Why are you calling them that?
See, in this situation,
Okay,
Mention all their names.
Independent valuers,
Yeah.
in this case, they did the pricing and the
yeah, the
valuation.
independent value. Shout out to FIDA Investment Bank.
Shout out to Karina Hicks. They did a valuation,
Yeah.
and they identified that the right price that the American company should be buying the shares would be at 67 Kenya shillings, which is 27 more than 40.
Than 40, yeah.
Which they were offering. Now, some of the very good small shareholders,
Small.
Minority.
they did not agree with this decision,
Yeah.
and they were saying, we want the 67, we don't want the 40. And they really, the advocacy and activism that
Yeah,
came from
yeah.
that,
Lobbying.
Yeah.
they wrote letters to the board, they wrote letters to
To the
CMA.
CMA, yeah.
CMA said they couldn't help, which I think they should have helped.
No, I think the
Free market.
CMA was
Free
okay.
market.
Okay,
The CMA was okay.
but then CMA also, at the end of the day, CMA, even themselves, they do valuations on their own, But then that story aside of CMA,
These are just prefects. If you guys have agreed to sell or to buy at a 50%
willing buyer,
discount,
willing seller.
so some
Do
of
it.
the minority shareholders, they went ahead and even bought more shares at the NSE,
yeah, to buy this,
so
yeah.
that they could have more strength in the argument. Of course, that did not succeed. It didn't go ahead. They didn't get to own the 75% as they wanted. So that was something that was interesting in the recent history.
Yeah,
of
yeah. So
UNGA.
the thing was, they actually didn't need to get the entire 75%.
Yeah.
For them, all they needed to get was, so they
Controlling
owned
stake.
2%.
2%
They-
of UNGA Group PLC.
Yes, they own around 2.92% of UNGA
Close to
Group.
3.
Yes. And the Ndegwa family owned,
Ndegwas of
Ndegwas.
NIC.
yes, they had over 50% of that, 52%. So what they were looking for was around, is it 13% when you do 75 minus 52?
Yeah.
Somewhere around that.
Yeah, that's what they were looking to get to the 75%, because already the Ndegwa family
Yeah.
was
was
on board.
controlling.
Was on board with their plan. to come, so they would have added their 50% to whatever Seaboard gets, and then
delist it.
And then delist it. So that's part. So when they went to the market, they were not able to get the amount.
Thanks to activists.
Yeah, guys who stood firm and decided
one of those gentlemen is a good friend of ours. Shout out to CT.
So I think that was a period of activism. Because also is it Express?
Capital activism, yes. Express.
Also, there was also an attempt, and
but that was a different one.
Yeah, it's a different, but similar.
But it was similar
activism.
We've had some talks. Okay, I don't want to shed bad light on you, but this guy is funny because he's a fan of hostile takeovers.
No.
Corporate goon.
Me? No, I'm not a corporate goon.
Really?
Don't tarnish my name. I will send you a cease and desist letter from saying that. But an interesting development is recently we have seen that there was this was reported on Business Daily that Seaboard, with them offering management services, that for the financial year 2020-21, they were not paid their dues. And this is because they issued a credit note, and this was coming courtesy of overpayments that were done prior.
Yeah.
And I am very, very keen when it comes to payments in the corporate world. And honestly, I would love to get more information from the finance director at UNGA Group on how was the overpayment done. I don't want to make assumptions, but let me stand on the ground that I need more information on why it was done in the first place. Was it an error? Was it?
Yeah, it's interesting considering. Also, I don't know whether there's a conflict of interest when the guy in charge is seconded also from Seaboard.
Definitely.
So I think I don't know whether it was an oversight, but for an oversight for that long is something to be looked at.
A little over 20 years.
So I think as we conclude, I don't know, Easter, what are your thoughts? Should someone buy at this point? Should you hold? Should you sell?
I'd say you should buy.
Why?
Yeah, you should buy because looking at the prospects, the financials might not be as good, but again, this is the reason they're prospects. You're looking at what is likely to happen in the near future. So the two lines of business revenues, one is doing very well, the animal feeds. I think that's actually where their margins lie, because first of all, they don't incur so many overheads there in terms of marketing and all that. Well, still, it's not like they incur in these are the main.
The competition doesn't seem as cutthroat.
Yes. So they're doing well there. They're maximizing that. I don't think they're maximizing, but they're doing well. I mean, you think of that line of business, you think of Fugo, which is their product.
Yeah.
Given the guy who's at the helm now, with marketing, which from where I sit, marketing is all they need to get back to the numbers where they should be. They're headed there. So, bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keegan?
First of all, so recently we've just mentioned about how the information on JV already made the price move from 27 to 36.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm looking at the price. It closed on 11th at around 33. I know it's gonna go to sub 30 in like a week or two. So I'm saying buy when it gets to sub 30, and then wait till the results come out in June, and the results will incorporate the impact of the JV, and particularly I'm putting a focus on Uganda, where the UNGA millers have been sitting idle, and now this JV is coming in, where Nutrico will be able to now leverage, to be able to use, the millers and the facilities, the assets there, to be able to bring revenue and all that. So that will definitely, you'll see that in the report. And secondly, and I think this is more important to me. No, they are yet to start. This is important to me, and I'm putting my bet on the man at the helm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Betting on him.
The thing is, people in business, people invest in people. People don't invest in businesses. Yeah. So even that's why influencer marketing is very effective. I'm investing in Jalango. I'm not investing in whichever brand he's trying to sell me.
Okay.
So totally go with what Keegan is saying.
JMC
JMC is
and the JV. JMC and JV, bye.
Yeah, I think for me it's
But wait till it goes to sub 30.
for
You
me
don't know how the shilling might perform between now and then as you're waiting. But anyway, because there's that forex risk as well.
considering it's Uganda, I will probably
Shade.
benefit.
Shade.
Oh no. You
But
guys
anyway.
patronize Ugandans anyway.
Yeah, for me it's I'll say a wait and see, so probably hold. For me, I want to see the marketing efforts, because that will act as a leading indicator. Once they start being more aggressive on the marketing, then I could be like, probably buy. And then we see how the operations from the new JVs, how they're doing, how they contribute to the bottom line. Then we could be like, okay, then maybe at that point, the outlook looks really good for you to give a sell.
For once,
recommendation.
you haven't mentioned dividend policy. Thank God.
Are you done? Why are you done?
Yeah, me, I'm done.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For me,
'cause
it's
it's done.
It's on the it's on the outlook. So
That is done.
that has been a very, I think, quite a
I'm so
comprehensive.
thirsty. These dry jokes.
This has been quite a comprehensive discussion on UNGA Group. Thank you for listening. We'd like to hear your thoughts, your comments, your opinions on the discussion. You can always comment on YouTube. You can hit us on Twitter at marketmap_KE, LinkedIn on Kenya's Market Map, YouTube Kenya's Market Map. Then we are available on Spotify, available on Apple Podcasts, available on Anchor, and also on our website, kenyasmarketmap.com.
Yeah.
You can always catch the latest episodes there. Thank you for listening, and have an excellent week.
Until next time,
It's nothing personal.
Just business.
ni biashara tu.